In our Indigenous culture, when the Aurora is moving very fast, my grandmother told me that there's somebody on the other side is sending us a message saying that you don't need to be sad anymore. We had some good times. Think of those good times. We are going to meet again someday, but right now don't be sad because I'm over here. You're there. Continue to live a good life while you're there, and we'll meet again someday. My name is Joe Buffalo Child. I'm from Yellowknife, Northwest Territories. I was born in Treaty 6 area, and I grew up in the Treaty 8 region. At 16 years old, I found out that Bailey is not my dad. My brother, my little brother, Phil Bailey, that's his dad. And I always knew. I just happened to have that baby picture. Come on, one black baby and one white baby sitting on the hood of a car. You know, I was 2 years old and he was 1 year old, and I said, okay, Gary Bailey is not your dad. I kind of figured, so I just want confirmation. So, you want to know who your dad is? 16-year-old rebel. Nope, I don't want to know. And at 22, I was like, yeah, I'd like to know who my dad is. And I don't know who he is. I can't remember. Some guy out of Hobima in Edmonton. I was working there, and we met for a weekend. So that's how. And we tracked him down about 15 years ago. His last name is Buffalo. So more of my identity. So changing my name to Joe Buffalo Child. I was working for different jobs here and there, and I realized I had a passion for the outdoors. I was raised by my grandparents on the land, so I've always had that connection with the land. I'm very proud of our heritage, our Indigenous culture heritage, so working for the different jobs I had, I felt like a caged grizzly bear. I was being held in for what I really wanted to do. That was the feeling I got. So when I was working with the government, I would come back from a meeting and I would go to my cubicle and throw in my 4-inch floppy disk of possible business ventures I could do. Working for the government, I was a private sector guy working for the public sector. And somebody said to me, Joe, you should get into tourism. I said, tourism? But I went to university for engineering and I want to do some engineering work. So I started to think about this tourism. And it just happened to be one Sunday morning watching the NBA finals, and Nike commercial came on. After 2 years of talking about it and planning and doing spreadsheets, you know, Nike commercial came on. What's Nike's motto? Just do it. We are Canada's original tour guides. When the non-Indigenous came over here in the 1400s, 1500s, welcome to our land. Things didn't work out as we planned, but we were always hospitable. Even then, we welcomed them, and I can remember reading books. I've read a lot of books about the history of contact, and you know, they're saying, "Wow, these people are so nice," but they don't realize we can just take advantage of them. And so that's what happened. And whether it's 1492 or 2022, we have it as Indigenous people to welcome people into our land. Come on in. We can make you a cup of tea. Have you eaten yet? So it's something that I think is innate in myself as an Indigenous person. I didn't plan it to be. I initially thought I was going to do a tour company, but the more I got into it, the more I realized I want to showcase our Indigenous culture. We introduce our culture to our clients with the hopes of raising awareness and educating them about our culture, you know, and our life in a modern world. You know, we're survivors from thousands of years ago, and of course the world has changed in the last 500 years, and it's impacted our way of life. We incorporate the culture into every aspect of our tour. So it's a city tour, buffalo viewing, canoe tour. We're always going to be talking about our culture, which is really cool. We'll travel to a community unannounced. We just happen to go there and we join in the community, and people are doing the traditional activity. They're cleaning fish. The elders are speaking to the youth. Excuse me, you don't mind if we just join you? Yeah, come on in. And that stuff's going on every day. Like right now, as I'm speaking to you, we are practicing our culture. We're preserving our way of life, and we get to see that in the genuine context. And I didn't do my tours for many years because of that. I was raised by my grandparents in the traditional Dene lifestyle, and I was very cognizant of the fact not to do the tours just to do the tours for commercial purposes. They had to be done in the real context to honor our ancestors and my grandparents. And so it took me a few years before I was able to get what I wanted, and for North Star to start offering Indigenous culture tours. So Aurora is a wonderful magical show that takes place in our atmosphere with the solar particles, it's called solar plasma, coming from the sun. So what I tell our clients is that aurora is born on the sun. So when they have the solar flare and the sunspot on the surface of the sun, it sends out energy into space. And that energy is traveling, it depends how violent those solar flares or sunspot, it could be traveling up to 700-800 kilometers per second through space, moving pretty fast. So when they get close to Earth, that's when the magic starts to happen. The magnetic North Pole and the magnetic South Pole suck that solar plasma into our atmosphere. And that's where the magic aurora happens, that collision, that coming through space, hits our atmosphere, and then little small tiny explosions. And then what you see in the sky is the aurora borealis. So what I say is, it's born on the sun, and the magic happens on Earth, yeah. We're about 5 kilometers out of Yellowknife right now. So this is a good spot to start off because there's no light pollution. And with the camera and the photographs, it gives us a good chance to see the cloud movement. We determine which way the clouds are moving and if there's any clear sky and if there's any aurora. So like I said before, I can spot the aurora with my naked eye when you can barely see with the camera. And so the clients, or sorry, our staff will actually take photos and say, Joe, you're right, there is a streak of aurora right there. I don't know how you can see it, but it's there. So I said, well, I grew up with aurora, so I can, it's like my older sister, you know. So once we make our decision, we head back to our respective vans, and we each have our team, and they inform the clients. What we have here is we have sunset, and we have, oh my God, look at that, that's getting stronger now. Oh my goodness, look above us. Woo! Oh, geez, and crackers. I just love aurora. I mean, I always tell our guests and people I talk to about it, you gotta have passion. You gotta have the genuine passion, you know, to do tours, if you want to be a real good tour guide. And so, yeah, it's a good feeling when they call me Joe, the Aurora Hunter. It's pretty cool. Aurora is different every night. I tell that to my friends here in Yellowknife, and they go, no, it's there, I see it every night. But no, because again, you have to have that appreciation and passion for aurora. It's always been there all my whole life. I first saw aurora probably when I was with my grandparents, and my grandparents raised me, and they've raised me in the traditional Dene lifestyle, which is very important for me because I'm very proud of my heritage as a Dene person. In about 2012, we did our first Mackenzie Nahanni experience tour to the Decho. In the wintertime, we do aurora tours and day tours in Yellowknife. We do a couple multi-day tours, like for example, our Arctic Circle Ice Road Adventure. Very cool. You drive from Yellowknife to the end of the winter road, Colville Lake, 1,700 kilometers. An epic road trip for sure. And then summertime, of course, we do, most of our tours are in the Mackenzie River, the Decho region. It's the most beautiful parts of the Northwest Territories. The Nahanni National Park, the Mackenzie Mountains, the Mackenzie River. So we do boat tours and canoe tours down the Mackenzie. We do our Indigenous culture tours. The Mackenzie River, or in our Indigenous language we call it the Decho. The Decho is like a lifeline. You know, there's 9 communities right now that are situated on the Mackenzie River, but in our Indigenous history, we've always used the river. I grew up on the Mackenzie when I used to live in Fort Simpson, so it's a powerful landmark. It's the longest river in Canada. The Decho is beautiful, it's amazing, it's powerful. I love guiding, I love being on the river, I love meeting the people. I get paid to go fishing, I get paid to go snowmobiling, I get paid to meet wonderful people from all over the world. They want to hear my story, but I want to hear their story. Because a lot of us Indigenous people haven't left the Northwest Territories, so it's a whole different world out there. I mean, social media now in the last 15 years has opened that up, but still, a lot of us have only been to Edmonton or Calgary. So when these guys come and join our tours and I'm sitting there in our tent and they're asking me my questions, I'm thinking, wow, what's Machu Picchu like? You guys were there just last week. What's that like? So I love to meet wonderful people from all over the world. So that's great. I love the Northwest Territories. So future goals for me is, of course, enjoy a more relaxed life, but at the same time, being able to go and do the tours. We want to do more canoe trips, but for women's groups only, for youth, And for those that got disconnected, disenfranchised, they got adopted out, they got taken away. They're doctors now, and they're lawyers, and they're engineers, they're professionals, but yet they know they're Indigenous, but they haven't had that experience. But now they have the resources, so we're offering canoe trips. Reconnect with your culture. That's a big dream for me. We have a lot of youth all over North America, Indigenous youth that are struggling. They're struggling with identity. They're struggling with social issues because of the residential system trauma that was put on us. The parents have been parents, and so we want to do trips for those where they can heal themselves on the Mackenzie River, and then they can have a better chance in life.
Wow, that was crazy. Fox just went by. Right there, wow. So I was just talking and he just went by here. Nice. It's amazing. So when I shut off there's 2 of them there. Oh my goodness. 1, 2, 3 of them.
I want to show people that we have a special connection to the land. In more recent years, in the last 5 years, I can see it's become very important, the conservation element of it. And scientists are starting to listen to the Indigenous people now, all over the world, in New Zealand and Australia and the Philippines. They're listening to the Indigenous people because we have been taking care of the land for thousands of years. We have existed in harmony with the land and the animals. In the last 500 years, it's been crazy where animals are becoming extinct, fish supplies are being fished out, and forests are going away, and climate change is happening as a result. Hopefully it's not too late, but they're starting to listen to the Indigenous people, and so I think it's a special way we live as Indigenous people and how we are connected to the land.